Salt, an element that has been used since ancient times, is it just a seasoning, or does it have a deeper spiritual purpose? In this video, we will explore how salt can be a powerful spiritual tool, capable of breaking curses and attracting blessings of abundance into your life. Did you know there are 3 ways salt can work to change your destiny? Jesus told his disciples, "You are the salt of the earth." But what does this really mean? Stay until the end of this video, because I assure you that what you will discover about salt as a spiritual weapon will surprise you. Before delving into the details, it is important to recognize a fundamental truth. Everything that exists was created by God, through Him and for Him. Nothing exists outside of His will. This includes salt, an element created with a divine purpose since the beginning of creation. Salt, like other elements of nature, has a special power that transcends its common use. Throughout this video, we will discover how salt has a much greater purpose than we imagined. I invite you to stay and explore with me the incredible hidden truth behind this divine element. From the beginning of time, everything in the universe was created by God's mighty hand. Nothing exists without His will. Even the simplest elements, such as salt, have a divine purpose that often goes unnoticed. In the book of Genesis, we read that God created the heavens and the earth, and in doing so, He designed a world full of elements that would fulfill a specific purpose. Salt, a natural mineral, was no exception. Although it is not explicitly mentioned in the early chapters of creation, we can understand that it was part of God's perfect creation, with a clear and essential function: to preserve, purify, and protect. Just as fire has the power to consume and transform, and water the power to give life, salt was given a unique authority. Not only does it have the ability to preserve food, but it also preserves our faith, serving as a constant reminder of the divine presence in our lives. As we reflect on salt, we must remember that everything in the world has a divine purpose. Even what seems ordinary or insignificant, like salt, plays a crucial role in the divine design. And as we will see later, salt has a spiritual power that can be used to break curses and attract blessings, as long as we understand its true purpose. Salt holds a significant place in biblical scriptures. In ancient times, it was used not only as a food preservative, but also as a symbol of purity, forgiveness, and covenant. Its mention in the Bible is no coincidence, as it reflects its spiritual power and profound meaning in the relationship between God and His people. In the Old Testament, salt appears in several contexts, but one of the most significant is in the covenant of salt. In 2 Chronicles 13:5, it is mentioned that God made a covenant with David and his descendants, a covenant of salt, indicating that it was eternal and unbreakable. Salt therefore symbolizes the faithfulness and durability of the divine covenant. Another important example is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, where God destroys these cities due to their wickedness. Before doing so, in Genesis 19:26, He commands Lot's wife not to look back. When she disobeys, she turns into a pillar of salt. This act is not only a warning against disobedience, but also a reminder that salt, in its purity, can reflect divine judgment on sin. In the New Testament, salt is used by Jesus to teach about the importance of being preservers of good on earth. In Matthew 5:13, He says, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned?" Here, salt is not only a symbol of purity and preservation, but also of the believer's influence in the world, serving as a means to uphold goodness and justice amid corruption. Salt in the Bible, therefore, has a profound symbolic use. It is a reminder of God's faithfulness, of the purity that His people must maintain, and of its power to preserve both physically and spiritually. It is a symbol of preservation and transformation, reminding us that our faith, like salt, must be constant and firm. Salt does not only have physical or symbolic value in the Bible, but also fulfills deep spiritual functions that can transform our lives. Throughout the scriptures, we are given a clear vision of how to use salt for our protection, purification, and blessing. Today, we will explore 3 key spiritual uses of salt that can help you break curses and attract blessings. In the Old Testament, salt was used to sanctify and purify. In Ezekiel 43:24, salt is mentioned as part of the purification ritual of the altar. Salt, in this context, symbolizes cleansing and the purification of the impure. Spiritually, by using salt with faith, we can ask God to purify our lives, remove all impurity, and make us worthy of His presence. In 2 Kings 2:19-22, the prophet Elisha uses salt to heal the bitter waters of a city. By throwing salt into the spring, the waters were purified and became healthy. Similarly, salt is used to protect us from negative influences, evil spirits, and curses that may affect us. Many believers use salt to sprinkle around their homes, pray over it, and ask for divine protection. Salt was used to seal covenants in the Bible, as we previously mentioned with the covenant of salt between God and David. In Matthew 5:13, Jesus calls us the salt of the earth, indicating that we are called to be preservers of divine goodness in the world. Using salt spiritually can be a symbolic act to seal our relationship with God, commit to living according to His principles, and ask for divine blessings in our lives. These 3 spiritual uses of salt, purification, protection, and blessing, are powerful tools that we can apply in our lives. By understanding its divine purpose and using it with faith, we can break spiritual chains, overcome obstacles, and attract the prosperity that God has reserved for us. Salt is not only a means of purification and protection, but it also plays a fundamental role in spiritual blessings and curses. Throughout the scriptures, we see how this powerful element can be used both to consecrate what is holy and to neutralize what is cursed. Its connection to blessing and curse is profound, revealing an important spiritual lesson about how we can influence our destiny through our relationship with God. In the Old Testament, salt was used to consecrate and bless. In Numbers 18:19, a covenant of salt between God and the priests is mentioned. All the offerings that the children of Israel present to the Lord I have given to you and your sons and daughters with you as a perpetual covenant of salt before the Lord. This covenant of salt was a symbol of eternal faithfulness between God and His people, guaranteeing protection and prosperity. Similarly, when we use salt with faith, we are sealing our lives with divine blessings. By sprinkling salt in our home, praying over it, and asking God to consecrate it, we invite His presence into our lives and ask for His blessing to be poured over us, our families, and our endeavors. Salt, as a symbol of the eternal covenant, becomes a means through which God manifests His favor and abundance. In contrast to its use for blessing, salt also has the power to neutralize curses. A clear example is found in the story of Elisha and the bitter waters in 2 Kings 2:19-22, where Elisha uses salt to heal the waters that were causing sickness and death in the city. In this act, salt not only purifies, but also changes the course of what was cursed, turning it into a blessing. Spiritually, salt is used to break curses that may be affecting our lives. Whether we are facing health problems, financial difficulties, or broken relationships, using salt as a tool of prayer can help dissolve those curses and attract divine intervention. By praying over the salt and asking God to break the chains of evil, we are asking Him to turn what is cursed into a blessing. Salt becomes a means of restoration, bringing healing and redemption. In some cultures and spiritual practices, salt is used as a means to break the chains of evil. For example, Placing salt in the corners of a home or in a prayer space is believed to protect the area from negative energies and establish a barrier against any dark influence. This practice is based on the belief that salt has the power to purify what has been contaminated by evil forces and, in doing so, attract blessings into the lives of believers. Using salt with faith can be a powerful way to unleash divine power in our lives, helping us overcome inherited curses, spiritual traumas, and adversities. By recognizing that salt as an instrument of God can be used to restore spiritual balance and break the chains that bind us, we can experience a radical transformation in our lives. As we have seen, salt is not just a seasoning or a common mineral. It is a powerful spiritual symbol filled with deep meanings and divine uses. From the Bible, we understand that salt was created by God with a purpose: to purify, protect, preserve, and bless. Whether to seal a covenant, break curses, or attract blessings, salt has the power to transform our spiritual and physical lives if used correctly and with faith. Jesus reminded us that we are the salt of the earth. Matthew 5:13. And with that calling, he invites us to be instruments of preservation and transformation in this world. Using salt spiritually is not only an act of faith, but also an affirmation of our belief in God's faithfulness and power to heal, restore, and bless everything we touch. So if you ever feel surrounded by difficulties, curses, or negativity, remember that salt can be your ally. Use it with prayer, faith, and gratitude, and allow its divine power to transform your life. Just as salt preserves food, may our faith preserve our lives, our families, and our purpose in this world. Thank you for joining us on this spiritual journey. If this video has touched your heart and helped you understand the power of salt, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with those who need to know this truth. And remember, God has given you the authority to be the salt in your life and in the world. Use that power wisely and with faith.